Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me once again today, and welcome to the start of a brand new Dominions 5 adventure. This is Accidental Ascension 4, or specifically, this is Accidental Ascension 4A, the first of 3 simultaneous games that are being played. I am not in all 3 of them. I'm only in A. But there were 45 people who wanted to play in an Accidental Ascension game, and so the host, Prey, has split them up into 3 separate games of 15 players each. Now, the different thing about Accidental Ascension 4A is that of course, it's an all-ages game. So we have here Old Urmor, Saromesha. So the old nations are mostly early age, sometimes middle age if there was no early age equivalent. The middle, of course, are middle-aged nations, and the new are late-age nations. So we have, in this game, Gath, Utgard, Satis, late-age Satis, Nazca, Ashdod, Shinuyama, middle-aged Pangaea, middle-aged Satis, early-age Pythium. Middle-aged Pythium. Lanka, that's me, Niflheim, Early Age Mictlan, Early Age Tianqi, Saromesha, and Early Age Urmorin. It's going to be a fascinating game. As I said, am playing Lanka, and I've released several videos recently on Blood and on Lanka specifically, and National Blood Summons and all that stuff. In any case, Lanka is of course a big blood nation, and I am being led by the great god DMX, the god of Lanka. He just got out of prison, and he's now taken over a nation of demon-worshipping apes. So, we are using the new, I forget what it stands for, but the acronym is AIDS. It's AIDS. Let me see if I can recall what that stands for, actually. The map generator, where is it? Yeah, I don't even recall what it stands for. Anyway, it's a new map generator that's been released. I'll put a link to it in the description because it seems pretty cool. And it generates, maps like this. They have cool little art to them. They're a little bit, they use slightly different colors, and they're a little bit better balanced than the standard map gen, I think is the idea. I do notice there are, sure, a hell of a lot of mountain ranges to be specific, with border mountains along them. That province is bordered by mountains in an interesting way. And there's a cold wasteland right next to me. Fascinating. So, as always, Accidental Ascension randomly generates gods. So before we do this, let's actually hop out and take a look at my god. We look at View Created Pretenders. This is DMX, the Master Lich. He is dormant. Scales-wise, the reason I picked this out of my random choices, my first one was garbage. It was an Irminsul, I think, with like Astral 8. Totally worthless. The reason I picked DMX is because of the scales. His scales are perfect for Lanka. Lanka wants turmoil. Lanka wants growth desperately. Heat 3, definitely. I would love to have magic. In fact, I would have swapped productivity for magic, probably. But productivity 3 isn't bad on Lanka, because you do have units that require reasonable amounts of resources that you want to kind of spam out. I'm thinking particularly of Bandar warriors. I would rather have had magic, but productivity is fine. My income is actually slightly positive with this build. Path-wise, his cross paths are great. In the late game, he can potentially call horrors and things. He can spam vampires. He can summon all kinds of shit. He doesn't have any air, unfortunately, but this path combo in particular is very strong. And of course, he is immortal, which is very, very nice. So if he dies, he's not actually dead, unless in the way that requires you to raise your pretender from the dead, unless he is killed by a soul slay or something. And of course, he's unenslavable because he is a pretender god. So, yeah, DMX the Master Lich will be leading us to victory. X is going to give it to you, as well as everyone else in the game. So let's hop back into the game real quick. Accidental Ascension 4A. Yes. Lanka. My password is, you don't need to know. And here we are. So, Lanka. We start with Sripada. We have 3 death, 1 air. Lanka gives us 2 nature. We can recruit all these guys. Really, these 2 we don't need to worry about. Paul and Kasha are kind of cool, but given that our Bless is quite weak, we don't actually need to worry about them either. Our Bless is Withering Weapons, and then once we wake up, we'll also get Unholy Weapons, so Palankasha and Kalamuka Warriors will be quite good at destroying enemy Sacreds, but that doesn't necessarily help them in expansion early on. What we're going to do is we're going to start by recruiting Araktapata, and then we're going to spam Bandar Warriors. You can see what I mean about resources. Like, I'm okay with having Productivity 3, because Bandar Warriors do take 13 resources. The reason I'm spamming these guys, by the way, this is on middle-age independent settings, so I do anticipate a little bit of difficulty expanding. But the reason I'm using Bandar Warriors is because they hit hard enough to punch through middle-age armor fairly easily, and they have this Sticks and Stones attack, which is actually ridiculously effective. It gets 2 attacks. It's relatively short range, so the low precision doesn't matter as much as you would think, and it does 12 damage. I mean, it's bludgeoning damage, so it's like nothing special, but it does 12 damage, and 12 damage is 12 damage. And they have 30 ammunition for it. 30 ammunition for it, more than bows. So I can take these guys. I can literally just set them to fire, and along with the Atavi infantry, they will march forward in a blob, and they will throw rocks at people. And throwing rocks at people is, frankly, more effective than arrows, generally speaking. So, Brajata here is going to become the prophet. My little scout here will start scouting up this way. The map was visible beforehand, so I can actually check out my neighbors, which I haven't done in any detail yet. Where's that map gone? Where has that map gone? Here it is. Okay, let me see what my neighbors are. Assuming the map's going to load. Okay, so I've got Lanka, so to my west is Utgard in the forest. To my north is Niflheim, just north of the forest. To my east is Gath, and to my south is Shinuyama, 2 past the mountains. So, we've got Utgard, Shinuyama, Niflheim, and Gath. I believe Gath is actually in the wasteland. Yes, Gath is in the wasteland. Interesting neighborhood to be in. In terms of random gods, I should show those off, actually, because it will be interesting to see. But generally speaking, Niflheim got a great god for them, actually, with a pretty solid bless. Shinuyama got a pretty decent god. Gath got a fairly terrible god, like, not quite Master Blaster terrible, but pretty bad. And I don't remember how good Utgard's was, but I don't think it was very good. We created an album of pictures of all the gods, so as soon as I do my moves, I'll show them to you. We can actually look at the names of all the gods, too. In any case, this is all I'm doing this turn. Recruiting, sitting here. We're going to set our research. I would like to get Conjuration 2 so I can summon Ganas and Wolves for patrolling. And then after that, I'm probably going to go down Blood to level 3 to summon Azarapas first off. And then we'll go Construction level 4 to get Sanguine Dowsing Rods. And after that, we'll kind of take a gander and see what we got. We may well run down Enchantment a little ways after that, because I do have quite a bit of Death. Or I might go to Alteration and try to grab Alteration 5, because I have a lot of Nature. But I think this is probably the way to start off for right now. In any case, let's take a look at the names, at the first of the thrones. We've got 1, 2 level 3s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 level 2s, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 level 1s. You need 14 fucking points. What? How many points do we have? 5, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay, so we have 25 points of thrones. We need 14 points to win. And the Cataclysm is expected in 8 years, so turn 96. Okay, so there's a throne midway between Niflheim and I. There's a throne over here, which is near Gath and Niflheim. There's a throne down here, which is near Shinuyama. Shinuyama, there. And there's a throne up here, which I might be able to get. It's actually closer to Niflheim than me by 1. So Niflheim might get that, or Utgard might get it, because it's closer to Utgard as well. So really, I don't have any thrones that are, like, undeniably in my territory. Which is sad. I would like that. This one is closest, because that's only 2 steps from me. But it's also 2 steps from Niflheim, so we'll kind of have to fight over that one a little bit. In any case, the pretenders in this game. We have Firestarter, the god of Ermor. We have Lucky Cow, the goddess of Shalomesha, Buttercup of Tianchi, Stu Little of Mictlan, Sumo Championess of Niflheim, Sumo Championess, the Eater of Children, Bane of Men, Goddess of Birth. This god is ridiculous. We've got DMX, who's going to give it to you. We've got Scaly Guy, Decomposition is good for Earth, Fail Snake, Gandalf goes to Japan, Master Plaster, Humbug, Just a Lizard, The Real Snick, and Get Out of Gath. This game has a lot of names in it in terms of the Dominions community. I don't mean to brag, but this is got to be a little bit of a tough game. There's me, there's Broken25, who's very good. There's Althea, there's Herdalas, Kirby1, Nasogens in this game. This game is going to be a little bit rough. So, we'll see how it goes. Let's hop out of the of Dominions here, and I will show you the Pretender Gods. Okay, so here we have the list of gods. Unfortunately, this list does not have the names on them, but the god of Cetis is a demi-lich with a massive rainbow bless and pretty okay scales, imprisoned. Like, this is a perfectly solid god. 6 dominion, magic 3, very nice. The next one we have, so that's the god of Cetis. The god of Cetis is on there twice. This is my fault. Let's just delete that image real quick. Yep, delete. There we go. The god of Middle Cetis. The god of Middle Cetis is on here fucking like 3 or 4 times. Why? I do not know. Delete that. Okay. Then we've got... we've got the god of Middle... What has happened? Why has this happened? Hold on a sec. Okay. Now we've got the god of Utgard. The god of Utgard is an imprisoned monster, which is never very good. Also, he has Drain, which is not very good for Utgard specifically. Other than that, scale's okay. He has a water-breathing bless, which is a little bit sad. This is like, over the 3 games, there were like 5 or 6 pretenders with imprisoned water-breathing blesses. Winter's Gift, also worthless for Utgard, but at least they did get reinvigoration. That's something. Shinuyama, decent rainbow bless, imprisoned, okay scales, production 3, and magic 2, both of which are very important for Shinuyama, plus they got some growth. Overall, very, very solid. God of Pangea, an earth snake with literally nothing, and Dominion 10. Literally no bless, no paths, just Earth 3. Yeah, it's exciting. Mictlan. Mictlan got... This is actually pretty decent. Unfortunately, it's imprisoned, because Awe and Blood Bond would be great for Mictlan's summons to have right from the start. But by the time he starts mass-producing Jaguars, this guy will be awake, and he'll be able to mass-produce Ozelotls with an Awe, Blood Bond, Withering Weapons Bless, which is pretty solid. They also have Cold Resistance, which, okay, fine. Scale's not the best, only growth 1 on a Blood Nation is not bad, is not good, sorry. But he does have Dominion 8. Pythium, Air 10 Condor. Air 10 Griffin. It's yeah, that's what it is. It's an Air 10 Griffin on Pythium. Fantastic. Sauromatia has actually a pretty, like, solid little production 3, which Sauromatia wants. Unfortunately, Turmoil. For Sauromatia really needs recruitment points. Growth 1, Luck 3, Magic 3, decent, Earth 6, Nature 7, very good. Unfortunately, Imprisoned. Imprisoned Bull. This will be a great Awake Expander. As an Imprisoned God, not so much. So, New Cetis, Water 9, Imprisoned Dragon. The RNG loved in this game giving people imprisoned monsters, with water-breathing blesses specifically. Sort of hilarious. Fortunately, Cetis is strong enough to just kind of roll on through it. And with Production 2, Growth 3, Magic 1, those scales are fine. The God of Ashdod. The most awful god Ashdod could possibly have. Nasogen insists that he re-rolled some perfectly good gods for the memes in order to handicap himself, which I sort of believe. So this is Dominion 10, Sloth Drain Ashdod, with a water-breathing and water-walking bless. Those two do not stack. Imprisoned. Fire shock resistance is fine. Beyond that, this is actually a handicap to the nation. Old Urmor. Death 2 scales. Death 2, Sloth 3, Drain 3 to pay for his awake little old lady, with a weird rainbow bless that doesn't really help him. There's DMX, we saw him, great scales for Lanka, Dormant, Withering Unholy Weapons, this is fine, this is like an anti-thug / anti-sacred bless. Gath. Gath got an okay god. Dormant, Strength of the Flesh, Withering Weapons, Berserker, Magic Resistance, that's all fine. The problem is the Sloth and Turmoil, this will cripple Gath's production, as it did with Master Blaster. We have seen before, Sloth Gath is bad. The god of Old Tien Shi. This is fascinating. This bless does not in any way help ghosts, and it doesn't really help Warriors of the Five Elements either. You know who it does help? This bless is actually pretty good for Demons of Heavenly Fires. And in the recent patch, Demons of Heavenly Fires got their price cut in half, so they're now only 2 fire gems each. That's not bad. I mean, looking at this god, I'm like, you know, Barkskin... Okay, having Barkskin and Stygian Flesh is just sort of a slap in the face because they both affect Nat Prot and they don't stack. So that's very aggravating. I guess it does mean that even against magic weapons, you will get 10 Nat Prot from Barkskin. But still, it's just sort of like, okay, whatever. However, having Barkskin for Demons of Heavenly Fires is really good, because Barkskin lowers fire resistance, but Demons of Heavenly Fires are already immensely fire resistant, so Barkskin doesn't actually hurt them. Blood Bond, they have high HP, so that's fine. So, like, that's pretty much okay for Demons of Heavenly Fires. It doesn't improve their damage output at all, which is too bad. But overall, usable. And Scales, Drain 1 is bad for Tianqi. Beyond that, could be worse, could be raining. The God of Niflheim, aka Nifltits. Larger, resilient, blood surge, poison resistance. This is actually a pretty okay Nifl bless, to be honest, and these are great Nifl scales. Magic, growth, order, and sloth. They don't need resources, they want all the rest of this stuff. This is a good god. By Accidental Ascension standards, this is a great god. The God of Nazca. Awake. This is like a parody of what people usually do with Nazca, because this is an awake god paying a ton of scales for a wide bless. Unfortunately, it's not a fantastic bless, but this is still pretty good. Barkskin Blood Surge is pretty solid for Nazcan Sacreds. Barkskin, it doesn't do the things that you really want to do. It doesn't make the Nazcan Sacreds incredibly dangerous, but it will at least justify using them, and the scales aren't quite as hell as they normally are. Death 2 hurts, though. Death 2 hurts a lot. Middle-aged Satis, again. Fuck you, middle-aged Satis. Alright, so that is all of them, I believe. That's all of us. So let's hop back into the game and take a look at the map one more time. Okay, so we're kind of outlined by mountains here. We've got this pass. Those have mountain passes that will be passable in heat. We have heat, so those should be open pretty much all the time. We've got mountains over there. We've got little lakes here and here, which we can't really get... Well, actually, we can go into pretty easily with skeletons. So we can spam out some skeletons to go underwater. That would be nice. Like I said, we've got Shinuyama, Gath, Utgard, Niflheim. Niflheim shouldn't be a huge problem, because we have Heat 3 Dominion, and if we can push our Dominion onto Niflheim, we should be able to keep them from getting too stroppy with us, because in Heat 3, Nifl Giants and Nifl Jarls really suffer. And they don't have any fire, so I am fine fighting Niflheim early, because A, my units hit pretty hard enough to hurt Nifl Giants, and regenerating skin shifters and such. B, my units are heat agnostic, whereas their units are crippled in Heat 3, they're big scary ones. And C, I have Blood Magic, and Blood Magic is good at taking down small numbers of large, beefy targets. And he doesn't have regeneration. So if I were to hit one of his, if I were to hit a Nifl Jarl with, Bleed, for example, not Blood Burst, but Bleed, if I were to hit a Nifl Jarl with Bleed, they would probably die. So that would be an excellent way to deal with it. Also, I can summon Rakshasa Warriors. Rakshasa Warriors hit like trucks. I would prefer to summon Asrapas, because Asrapas are very, very good summons, but Rakshasa Warriors aren't bad, and like I said, they hit like trucks. They have big two-handed weapons and strength like 20, I think. So they hit hard. In any case, that's turn 1 of Accidental Ascension 4. I think this one's going to be exciting. We'll see how it goes. I've never played Lanka in multiplayer Dominions 5 before. I've actually never played a Master Lich before, as far as that goes. And this game, it looks like I actually have a much more solid starting position. Now, of course, we'll see how things are. Accidental Ascension games are always difficult to predict, but I think this is going to be a lot better for me than the last one. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next episode. Alright, turn 2, we got some prophets. Old Ermor, Aquiculus the Centurion, Skin Removal Technician the Chieftain, Westley the Noble, Squeaky the Tribal King, Fridge the Jotun Scout, Erlen the Bullpen the Bandar Commander, Balbus the Centurion, Invading Russia in the winter, the Black Harpy. I like it. Moria monsters everywhere with no capital E, the Bakemono General. Who Run Flavortown, the Rephite Commander, the Prophet of Master Plaster, you cheeky little dickwaffle. Ken's the Hearse, and Get Not the Issacharite Scout, the Prophet of Get Out. So, we are surrounded by provinces that probably suck, judging by this one. These are all very lightly defended, which is nice, but they're also not very valuable, which is not. I'm making some calls on which way to expand first here. What I'm limited on recruitment-wise right now is actually resources. It's not money. You can see I actually have quite a bit still left in the treasury. And that's because my strategy here is that I'm recruiting Bandar Warriors, which require 13 resources. I could recruit light Bandar Archers, which shoot somewhat better, or I could recruit a lot more Atavi Infantry. Like, for example, I could drop 3 of those guys and spam out a bunch of Atavi Infantry. Which could function, but Atavi Infantry are very, 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 very fragile. As I said, the other solution here would be to recruit some light Bandar Archers, which have the longbows, so longer range, higher damage. But they only get 1 attack. And at closer range, the lower precision of the sticks and stones doesn't matter so much, so, overall, I'm thinking probably just straight Bandar is the way to go here. I think this is the play. These are the equivalent of the light Bandar warriors that Bandar Log can recruit, by the way. The heavy ones have helmets, if I recall correctly, and use iron cudgels, which are more powerful two-handed weapons. But, I mean, this is quite a respectable melee attack. 21 damage, 11 attack, 18 hit points. These guys are I mean, for the price, they're solid. These guys are solid. 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I'll drop 2 of them in order to get 8 Atavi, so I'll have an almost even mix of Atavi and Bandar. It's not a super efficient use of space, because they're size 3 and then size 2. I could mix in some Markata as well, but they would lower the average morale a lot. I mean, Atavi Infantry already lower the average morale, so yeah, that's not actually really worth it, because I might just rout. I think I'll just go with Bandar. So, there's 2 ways I can play this. This is almost a worthless province. Like, this province is garbage, I don't really care about it. It does have cold scales in the spring and in my dominion, which indicates that it probably has a magic site, like Frozen Lands or something, that could give water gems. That's kind of neat. But I can either go down here or here to get resources. Probably here, because that might actually kill my monkeys. Or I could push up here. This is likely to be a very easy fight, and it might allow me to take this farmland next turn. That would be radical. If I could take that farm, that could kick my income up pretty quick. But I think instead I'm going to grab that, and then this army, depending on how much damage they take, this army could probably very easily fold upwards to clear this province while I'm gathering more troops. I'll have a turn's worth of recruitment of Bandar Warriors. I can use one of my Raktapatas to join this expansion force to reinforce it, and it can keep rolling north to take that, while I gather a second expansion force using my increased resources, pump out, 20 more Bandar Warriors or so, and go take Cormark, start expanding that way. So it's turn 2 now. Turn 3, I'll have that. Turn 4, I'll have that and a reinforced army. Turn 5, turn 6, I will hope to be sending out another expansion party. Horse Tribe Cavalry actually aren't great at killing Bandar, so this province I can probably take fairly soon, and then go take Ephisibor as well. What I need, of course, is to find provinces that have over 5,000 or at least over 4,000 population, so that I can start blood hunting pretty early. As you can see, I think I talked about this in the last episode. My priorities are Conjuration level 2 for Ganas and such, and then Blood level 3 for Apsaras, my basic summon, and then Construction level 4 to make my blood economy efficient. After that, I'll start working on other combat magic, because this is kind of a greedy research priority list. It doesn't give me any actual combat magic early on. All it gives me is summons, so I would be relying on my summoned units to fight without much by way of magical backup at a time when other nations will have, like, Alteration 5 or Conjuration 5. And that can be risky. But if I start getting Apsaras out pretty quickly, I think it'll work. Now, I can't cast any blood spells yet, but also, of course, Blood 1 will enable me to summon Rakshasas. And Rakshasas in Turmoil Dominion have pretty scary stats. They die easily because they have no prot, but they have pretty scary stats. Level 2, I can cast Feast of Flesh if I really need to spam out a whole bunch of Pragasas, which are beefy and deal high damage, but aren't very good stat-wise. And then as I go down, my goal, of course, is to hit level 6 as quickly as I can and start summoning Dakini, because Dakini are fantastic mages. And they are also Cloud Trapezing Thugs, because they have high air magic. I actually, tell you what, I don't quite have the money to recruit a Raksharaja. The interesting thing about Raksharajas is that they are powerful cap-only mages that aren't slow to recruit, which is actually fairly rare. They have Chaos Power, they have 2 attacks, they have decent prot, and they have decent paths, so you can thug them without too much trouble. And they can random Death 2 or Air 3. So with like Mirror Image Mist form, Raksharaja can fight very effectively as thugs with their 2 attacks and high strength and their Chaos Power and all of that. They are susceptible to fire. Also, they take the Bless. My Bless doesn't really matter for them, but they take the Bless, and they are Reanimator Priests. I do need to focus on researching. If I didn't need to focus on researching, I would probably be reanimating with this guy just because. Just to have some undead around, which would be helpful, but probably not going to do that a whole lot. I want to grab as many research points as I can right now. In fact, I'm actually going to recruit a Yogini instead, because like I said, I need the research. I need to spring my research up as quick as I can. That means I'll just recruit 4 Atavi instead of that last Bandar, because I don't quite have the resources. That lets me zero out on resources. So I'm going to grab this Highland in order to get the resources, bounce up this way, try to grab these 2 farms, and ideally also this one. This should be impassable to Niflheim because of his Cold Dominion. So this should be locked off. He should have to go through the throne in order to get here. And depending on what that throne is, that could block him pretty significantly. If it's a level 1, it probably won't stop him for long. If it's a level 2 or 3, if it's the Throne of Sorcery or the Throne of the Sun, it could stop him for a very long time. If it's the Throne of the Sun, I absolutely have to take it away from him. I can't let him get that, because even though it gives me order, which I don't want, if he gets fire resistance, then his sacreds become actually potentially relevant, which would be sort of hilarious, but he actually also doesn't want it because it would give him heat. But in any case, can I also just say DMX's titles are fantastic. Master of Terror, the Man-Eater, Prince of Bloodshed and Conflict. Perfect. Excellent. That is DMX 100%. So, that's the turn. I'll see y'all in turn 3.